The PGMOL are hunting me down. This is a fact. It cannot be denied. I'm going to show you why. I have been consistently calling out the inconsistencies of refereeing decisions and the implementation of VAR for a good 2 to 3 years now. I feel that with a audience and with closing on 500,000 subscribers that range from the traditional top 6 teams within the Premier League era, and of course we have fans that support all manner of teams across the UK and around the world, I think it's imperative that we use the platform to challenge the status quo and ensure that our voices, your voices, are being heard. And we all disagree. There'll be shows where I say that's a penalty, and many of you in the audience will say no, it isn't. And that's a really important part of the football world, is fans, our opinions, our debates, our arguments at times. The PGMOL, though, they have been running the referees and everything surrounding them. They've been running it like doo-doo for a long, long time. The inconsistencies, the mistakes, the doubling down, befriending the media, the Sky Sports, TNTs, Talk Sports, who, yes, there'll be some criticism of their decisions, but by and large, it's defend, 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 or at the very least, light-hearted challenge. A small bit of criticism, some pre-prepared questions for Howard Webb. It's brushed under the carpet and everybody cracks on. And we have seen and we have called out the flaws, whether it be Wolverhampton Wanderers conceding 2 penalties 2 weeks running for opponents kicking the floor, whether it be the Miles Lewis-Skelly red card, which everyone and their dog knew wasn't a red card, but they doubled down. It got rescinded quickly, and then they had to backtrack on it again. And that is where the new piece of trouble for me lies. And we're going to go into this in more detail, but of course, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. In October 2023, I titled a video, "We Cheated Arsenal." And I titled it that way because it's something I said. It was my opinion. I said it. My words. As in, I felt the explanation given in that video from Howard Webb towards a bad decision towards Arsenal, I said that, in my opinion, and I've got to be very careful that I say opinion here, and I'll tell you why later, that's what I was hearing. All I really heard was "we cheated Arsenal." And that was in my title. The PGMOL contacted me directly. They emailed me. I explained my position. They kind of went away. But it was a warning. We're watching. It was a warning that we're not going to stand for this level of criticism. We're not going to stand for your opinions. And it was really interesting for me. But look, I'm always going to give my honest opinion, my thoughts and feelings on situations that matter in the game. Now, we've seen a lot of bad decisions again this season. We've called out a lot of things towards the PGMOL, and we tagged them and we asked for explanations. And there's been a number towards Arsenal this season. There's been some big ones that have gone against Manchester United as well, Liverpool. And we have done segments in shows, independent pieces of content, clips have gone out and been shared. And a few weeks ago this happened, and I didn't want to talk about this until we had the matter resolved. And I'm going to play the video for you in a moment. But a few weeks back, we had some notifications that came up that copyright issues have been found on our content. This was one that was from TikTok. We had another that came through from Instagram, where they were taking down videos. First of all, I spoke to the team, because obviously we use an editing software, and I said, well, why are we getting these these copyright strikes? What are we sort of doing wrong here? What's going on? Why is this happening? And essentially, all the videos that were being targeted involved criticism of the PGMOL. That's it. So there was images and little bits of footage used in these shorts when it was talking about a great goal or a player being brilliant or praising kind of football, the Premier League referees, whatever it may be. Every single one of those videos was left alone. Only the criticism of the PGMOL was systematically attacked by copyright claims. Now, all those videos have been reinstated because we appealed, and under fair use policy, we're allowed to use very small sequences of footage. Under fair use policy, we won that battle. Those videos will stay out there on our TikTok, etc. now. But what was really interesting is at the same time this went on, I'll show you this here. So it was the video in question was the one that you can see ringed on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side is a screenshot from the same period of time. And you'll notice there in the middle, something very, very interesting on that video. Okay. The PGMOL actually voted. They actually voted on a poll asking whether or not Gary Neville was right or wrong for calling out Michael Oliver being pulled off of the forthcoming Arsenal game. The official FA PGMOL account voted on the poll. They voted on a poll. And they've systematically voted on others. When we asked whether they got the decision right or wrong, they've voted they got it right. The actual account from the PGMOL, you can see it there. I kid you not. And if we go to this screen, the screenshot, you can see it. It's on our notifications on Instagram, which is crazy. I partly felt a bit honoured, and then I also thought to myself, why are they voting on polls? Strange behaviour. But it was interesting that we started seeing them, we're notified when they were voting on our polls and watching our content. And then a few days later, bang, 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 strike, 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 strike. I'm going to play the video in question for you because I think it's important to give you that context, but take a little look here.
I hate the idea of a referee being taken off a game. He's the best referee in the country. The idea that he would go into that game on Saturday or Sunday, whenever it is, Sunday afternoon, and think that he's going to be basically swayed towards City or...
See, this is why I've got to stop him here. But take a look at this from 3 to 4 months ago on the same show with Gary Neville.
Graham Paul once came in to do a talk for us and said that he carried over feelings and thoughts and emotions from previous incidents with players and instances. He did say that.
You can't do that.
He did say that.
He did say it was, yeah, he came in and we spoke about it.
So on the same show, the same podcast with predominantly the same guests, you hear it there from the horse's mouth. They have been told by ex-referees that they carry biases over into games. And there you have Gary Neville today saying, can't believe Michael Oliver's been taken off. Gary Neville has admitted, he's written articles about it, he's spoken about it on TV, and he's said it on podcasts, that he knows for a fact that referees hold grudges and take... We had to blur the screen on this because they're probably going to come for it again. Biases into the next games, if fans give them stick, if players give them stick. How can Gary Neville sit there and say, I have no idea how he can be taken off the game involving that team a week after that bad decision, which, by the way, was overturned in Arsenal's favour? That was the video. So me highlighting Gary Neville, what I felt he did at the time was he sort of protecting the PGMOL. It's a disgrace that they've been forced into taking Michael Oliver off of a big game. They would never allow any biases to carry over. And that was the message that Gary Neville and nearly every mainstream media outlet was pushing until my video went viral. Until I showed that they've literally done other pieces of content. They've done other shows, other pieces of sort of football shows, documentaries, etc., where they state that the biases do carry over. As soon as that went viral, they started attacking my content. What does that tell you? It might just be, Terry, you're a pleb. They've got every right, if you've used somebody else's content, to take it down. And that's a fair cop, fair enough. But come on, let's engage our brains here. Why, when I shared this, when I exposed this, and by the way, when I say exposed it, I'm not some brilliant undercover investigative, is that the right word, journalist here. I'm not Lois fucking Lane, right? I just remember it from a podcast that I watched 3 or 4 months earlier and thought, hang on, this is weird. Why are the media saying biases don't exist when the same media are the ones who expose to us that biases do exist? So I look at the attempts to take down my content, the emails that I have received. All this does is reaffirm what I've said all along. I feel there's been some big decisions where they have cheated and screwed Arsenal over. That's my opinion. It's my opinion that Wolverhampton Wanderers got absolutely got their asses handed to them when they conceded 2 penalties for their opponents kicking the floor. I think Liverpool were absolutely screwed over and cheated when protocols were not followed, i.e. in the game against Tottenham last season. I called it out and I'll stand by it. I will shout as loud as I can about, it's not even about the decisions I like and don't like. It's the inconsistency. So, for instance, I praise the PGMOL, and none of this content was attacked, by the way. None of the content, which has the same sort of fair use policies attached to it, when I said the PGMOL were correct in backing VAR and backing the referees for overturning the penalty decision against Everton last month, Man United Everton, why didn't they strike that bit of content? Because I praised them. It's only where I call out their inconsistencies that they try and shut it down. I praised them in that video because they were consistent. Because all year long, fleeting pulls were not given as penalties. The mainstream media said, well, why VAR got involved there? There isn't a clear and obvious error. When there was. And it was exactly what I thought it would be. The referee thought Maguire committed a foul, when in fact the only person that potentially committed a foul was De Ligt. There's the clear and obvious error. And even then it was a fleeting pull. So for me, what I find really interesting is the only time you really see the media go in is when certain teams, Man United being one of them, Arsenal being another, benefit from the PGMOL. But whenever they make clear and huge errors or massive inconsistencies are being displayed, when you call that out, they send you emails, they try and take your content down. And the funniest part, they vote on the polls to give themselves an extra, I mean, just to get the percentage up a little bit higher. I couldn't believe it. But I couldn't talk about it for a while because we were just going through the legal proceedings of being allowed to show the content. It's all under fair use policy. It's not against any terms and conditions on YouTube. We do blur the Premier League footage because otherwise they literally will make you go through that process every single time, and it's very time consuming. But for me, look, this just proves everything I've said all along. We know they're inconsistent. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand that. We know they don't like being called out. They're 110% been protected by the mainstream media by and large. Every now and then, it's like, right, they do this in the war on drugs. Like every now and then, the people at the ports that let them through are like, every now and then we've got to arrest a few people to make it look like we're doing our job. The media do that. All right, we're going to take this decision and attack it, and this one will attack. The rest of it, we'll just kind of let it go and defend it. Tell everyone to get off your backs. But absolutely, like I've said, they have cheated Arsenal, they have cheated Wolves, they have cheated Man United, they have cheated Liverpool. And I don't think there's a conspiracy against one particular club. I've stated that all along. But the fact that when you call out the inconsistencies, the bias and the poor coverage in the media, that they are literally coming to take you down, this is a very loud and a very noisy and a very messy message as well. But I'd love to get your opinions on this in the comment section below. Hit the like button, please. It's going to be very important for this video for you to do that. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon. Peace!